because people have acknowledged them and now they're starting to see them. You know what I mean? Okay, so is it true because my friend lived out the experience in reality and won almost $1,000 at the casino? Because everything must align with Scripture and God. It's called testing the Spirit as God tells us. Sure.
Hello. How are you
Hello.
today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
It's pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
Good,
Uh,
good. Are you
I just
are you a
really
Christian or a Bible believer?
okay. I'm still going on my spiritual journey. I'm trying to find where my beliefs align. I was raised up Protestant Christ- Christianity. I at one point didn't believe in God until I had a near-death experience. I don't know if you consider that evidence or not. A lot of people don't consider personal testimonies reliable sources at all. I just wanted to get on here and like talk about what deterred me from God for a long time because it did have a lot to do with judgmental Christians.
Yeah, no, I understand. And no, I don't take near death experiences as quote unquote like evidence per se, but I do understand that the person had an experience, and I'm just skeptical of whether or not their conclusion of that experience, you know, pertains to reality. But I'm
Yeah,
open to hearing them.
totally. Well, my near death experience was I was suffocating to death underneath a piece of heavy machinery. And as I felt myself slipping away from life, it was pitch black. I didn't see nothing but straight dirt, man. Pitch black, there's nothing. And then I slowly start to see a bright light. I don't know how they got in time to save me, really. It was really bad, but just it just really got me there. And I hadn't believed in God for a long time due to judgmental Christians. Actually, at my grandpa's or my papa's funeral, which was the chief of the fire department, good man, they started preaching hate towards gays and everything and talking about how the gays are going to burn in hell, which is really what deterred me from God for the longest time, man. It's just a personal experience, and my beliefs on religion is to not trust religion but trust in God, because I don't believe a lot that the Bible has to say is true. There's a lot of things that got mistranslated. For example, the verse about gay people, I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be about pedophiles.
Depending on the source that you're looking at, mostly from what I'm seeing is that, or from what I see, is that in the Old Testament, the language in the original Hebrew is pretty ambiguous, but it is more taken as men with men, whereas in the New Testament, given the culture that Paul was living in when he was talking about that, Greece and stuff, the ancient Greece and Roman times, there are some scholars that think that it could be pertained to Paul talking about the inappropriateness of an older man taking a like younger lad as a quote unquote apprentice, and then doing things with them in such a manner, and then calling out that kind of lifestyle. So the language in it could be pretty ambiguous, but at least in the Old Testament, it is my understanding that it is against homosexuality itself.
Damn. I guess I just got told something otherwise, but I totally don't think you should get hate on any of that, because I've seen a lot of Christians hate on at very inappropriate times, and frankly for no reason, not hearing the individual standpoint at all, not trying to understand them or nothing at all. I think one of the few things that make me believe in God was my death experience, of course, which, that's not really something I could lean on for everybody, but also the Big Bang Theory, how nothing came from, or something came from nothing. I think there was something of greater power that caused that. Then again, it's just how I believe. There's no real proof. We don't really know what caused the Big Bang Theory, but I think it was a higher power.
Sure, I agree with you that we do not know what triggered or caused the Big Bang per se, but the Big Bang Theory states nothing about something coming from nothing. It makes no claims of that. That's not what the Big Bang Theory says. It's not what evolution says. It's not what
I believe in
non-theism
evolution.
says. Whereas I would say that something like the Bible is saying that God made something out of nothing. And, things like Islam, and it's religion that talks about gods creating stuff out of nothing, just speaking it, or just a wave of their hand, or whatever it is. So,
Yeah, that's totally what it is. I don't know if, and that's another thing. I don't know if my God's real. I pertain to Christianity because that's what I'm raised on. But I don't know. There's also so many similarities in a lot of other religion. Like a lot of things pop up, morals, or like the tree of life. That's in a lot of other religions. A lot of religions talk about that. So I don't know if
mhm.
my God's real or anybody else's God's real. I choose to believe in it because of my personal experience. That it just boils down to that. It really does. I love what you're doing here. I don't see a lot of Christian spaces be as welcoming as atheists about religion, which is kind of sad, really. Darth is a good example of that, too. I joined his live, and the way he talked to a lot of these people who were trying to discuss and actually get a debate going was disgusting, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, I agree. Darth is not a good example of one with the fruits of the spirit, as the Bible would call it. But I'm not gonna pretend that there aren't atheists out there that aren't, shit.
Vosh.
Yeah.
Y'all remember Vosh? Oh my god, talk about the leftist pipeline. That's a bad one to start off on. Ooh. You
So,
remember Vosh?
actually, no, I don't know who you're talking about,
Fuck,
but
search up Vosh, man. That shit was a downfall learning what he did. Oh my god. Nah, but for real though, craziest shit ever. So I can see how some Christians might not like atheists due to those ones that are kind of radical and have weird fucking obsessions over things, makes us all look bad, but at the same time, Christians are very judgmental. Even though in the Bible it says not to judge anybody, don't judge sinners because we all sin.
well, it actually doesn't say that.
It
It actually
doesn't?
no, the Bible actually, I would say, gives you an outline of how to judge, what to judge, and how hard to judge. um,
That's why I don't keep
it's
up with that shit, and I just keep my relationship with God personal. Like I'll just pray to Him and shit, and I don't preach to others about what they should believe at all, because it's not my place to. Because I'm still trying to find out where I lay on that. You know?
yeah. I believe. So in one of the Gospels it says, "Judge not, lest on the scale that you judge, you also be judged." It's I'm paraphrasing, but basically it's saying that to just be careful of how you're judging others, because you're going to be held to that same standard. You need to, it goes back to the blind leading the blind, pulling the splinter out of your own eye before you try to help someone else. It's going back to when Jesus says, "Don't cast the first stone," unless you're sinless.
Yeah.
It's going back to understanding that you need to walk what you teach.
Oh, another thing to point out here to prove my point about Christians being judgmental and stuff. I myself am a Christian, and I know I'm not perfect. And then there's a lady on here saying, for a lady who claims to be Christianity, you sure do swear a lot, ma'am. I'm sorry, girlie. That's just how I was raised. I was raised in the 606, Floyd County, poor as fuck, meth heads walking around the street, all right? I do kind of have a sailor's mouth, but I do believe in God. And I trust in God that, I will be up there. I will be up there with my loved ones, for real, for real. Like I said, I'm an 18-year-old girl, still trying to find out more about my religion and religions overall. So I'm not really informed. I just like to talk, and yeah, that's me.
Yeah, no, and you're all good. It is me personally. I can't speak for any other atheists out there, but for me personally, I just like having these conversations and engaging with critical thought. I personally am not trying to convert or deconvert anybody.
Yeah, me either, man.
I just like hearing what you believe and why, and I do appreciate that you acknowledge that it's due to personal experience that isn't
Oh, absolutely.
isn't the
It's not
most
going to be
solid
the same for everybody.
evidence out there, which
Yeah,
is good.
exactly. I see like a lot of these people trying to debunk evolution and stuff, and I'm looking and like, how are you helping anything, man? Like you're trying to disprove something that's been already proven by years of evidence in science. It's better to just say that, oh, God caused that shit, instead of saying, oh, well, everybody's made from dirt. Man, God made man from dirt. I saw a man just making that sole argument over everything. Everything. For real. It was awful.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, how's it going, Jeff? How you doing?
Hey.
I'm chilling. Yeah, I don't believe in the science religion, though.
The science religion? What?
Yeah.
Scientology? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about, science, Big Bang,
Oh,
evolution.
science isn't a religion. A religion is a belief and or worship in God or gods, which science doesn't do. Science is just simply a method or a tool that we use to try to discover things about the world around us.
Yeah,
So
no,
there is
I know.
no religion of science.
Yeah, I know the scientific method that Ibn Haytham, the Muslim in the 9th century, came up with. I get that type of science. But I'm talking about the belief in things that are unsubstantiated, like the Big Bang, evolution, things like that.
Well, we have evidence for the Big Bang and evolution, but we don't have all the answers, and we admit that.
That's like it seems like a faith claim to me.
How?
Because it's just like,
Well, I mean, because I said that we have evidence for the Big Bang and evolution, and faith is only necessary if you don't have evidence. So again, very contradictory things.
Can you prove the Big Bang actually happened?
We're here.
We can look at the aftermath of it and the evidence of the result of the Big Bang.
Have you looked at it?
I've done the research on it. I can send it to you.
You did? You personally did?
Yeah. Have you not looked up the evidence for the Big Bang?
Yeah, when I do, I just find like a bunch of scholars and priests for science giving their opinions.
There are no scholars or priests in science.
Like Neil Tyson. What's that guy?
A scientist?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, and then that guy, the Asian guy.
The Asian guy. I'm trying to remember who you're talking about. Oh man.
Yeah, it's a priest for the science religion.
They're not priests, and they're not.
That's what I call them.
Yeah, I know that's what you call them, but you're being dishonest when you do that.
I think their titles are scientists.
Yeah, I know, but call them what you want.
Yeah, fair enough. If that's what you mean, just say it.
People that have studied and rely on actual evidence as opposed to faith, like religion does. So again, two completely different things, two completely different categories. So it would be dishonest to call them religious terms when they are clearly the opposite of it.
I think to a certain extent, everybody has to rely on faith, right? Because even the scientists, they'll tell you the conclusion they come to is they don't know. They get to the point where...
Depends on what?
I'm talking about specifically the Big Bang, because they cannot...
We don't know all of that yet, because it's kind of hard to figure all that stuff out, because it happened billions of years ago.
No, it's impossible, because...
That's the beauty of science, actually.
There's a lot about the Big Bang that scientists can answer, but as Al and I were talking earlier, as to what exactly caused the Big Bang, we don't know yet. But that doesn't mean that
we won't know in the
God,
future,
and that doesn't mean that it wasn't a God. It just means that we don't know that about the Big Bang, but we know other things about the Big Bang.
I'll tell you why it's impossible, and you'll never know, because in order for you to know, you'd have to measure something outside of space and time, which by definition, that's impossible. So you'd never know. You'll never find out.
Who knows? Maybe scientists in the future years will find a way to figure that out. That's the beauty of science.
See, that's a lot of faith in science. I don't believe science is that all-powerful.
Why would we have to measure something outside of time and space? That doesn't make sense.
Because that's how else if the Big Bang came into being, something caused it.
Science, you don't have to believe or have faith in science, because there's evidence that racks up over time that scientists discover.
Have you looked into the evidence?
Their claims. What about evolution?
Have you looked into the evidence?
What about evolution, man? That's something that we've proven over time. I'm giving an just because we don't know the full extent of the Big Bang,
I mean, you
we
personally, have
have
you looked
things
into it?
over time that show us we don't actually have to put blind faith into science, because science is discovering shit over time, man. That's what science. That's the whole thing about science, man.
Yeah, I get it. It sounds nice, but have you personally looked into it, or are you just going off what other people have told you?
What, the Big Bang Theory?
Any of it, any of that, any of this Big
Well,
Bang
I
evolution,
got
any of
a
that?
middle school education where they did teach us about evolution. I
Okay.
didn't really look too much about the Big Bang Theory. I myself like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Sorry, I have speech problems. I'm going to speech therapy right now, so you may hear me
Oh, that's
kind
cool.
of,
You're doing a good
yeah.
job.
I like some of his takes on it and stuff, but no, I don't really have a full extent and knowledge about the Big Bang Theory. I'm just truly yapping about my personal experience about God and
Yes,
how I came to believe in him. See, I believe in God, but I also still believe in the facts that science puts in my face.
I got you. So here's my argument: is that religion is true, God is true, science is its own religion, and you get indoctrinated into believing it is the ultimate objective truth, which is not.
I think you get indoctrinated into believing in God, actually.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody gets indoctrinated.
Well, there's no true evidence, and I'll say it myself as a Christian, there's no true evidence that God is real.
You
That's the whole
believe
thing about religion. You put faith into God. Now,
so?
science, they actually have several things backing up all their stuff. Like, you do experiments on things, and it works because they proved it. Like, have you not done the volcano experiment where you, like, put vinegar and baking soda
Yeah, I
and
get
it
all
does a
that.
chemical reaction? That's
No,
something that science has proven,
I get
right?
all that,
It's
but
there in your face. That's what I believe about it.
yeah, but you exist, and this is the proof God exists because you exist. You did not create yourself. The universe exists. It did not create itself. So there has to be an uncaused cause that made everything exist.
I believe the same thing. Like, I was talking with him earlier about how I believe the Big Bang Theory up, and I said the same thing. Like, God caused that. I don't have exactly any proof or anything. That's just my belief. I totally get where you're coming from because I believe the same thing too. But I
Right.
still believe in science. I still believe in evolution. I believe that God still could exist and had caused the Big Bang Theory and evolution. You know,
Yeah, so that means you believe in God. So you
I
shouldn't
do.
say, yeah, so yeah, and I think it's irrational to say that there is no God because then you have to admit that there's an uncaused cause that is not God.
Huh?
You have
Sorry,
to,
I was
in
doing
order to
something else.
say that God does not exist, you have to say the universe is the uncaused cause. Like the universe created itself, basically.
I don't know. I don't think it's irrational to not believe in God, I respect in everybody's beliefs and everything.
It's the most irrational thing possible.
I don't necessarily think that, people have seen, look at religion over thousands of years. We don't really know, and religions have been here for thousands of years and they still don't know if God exists, but science is here and it's right in your face and it's like,
They
wow,
don't know. They don't know
that
either.
stuff's right.
They know even less than religious people do. At least religious people have an explanation.
Religious people don't have an
Well,
explanation.
what good
They
is
say
the
God did it.
explanation if we can't match it with reality? Like,
But
anyone can just make up anything to explain whatever.
in reality, can anything create itself?
In reality, well, I don't know the answer to that. I
We
truly
still don't
don't
know the
know.
full
But
extent of
in
the Big
reality,
Bang.
what I don't
Yeah.
have an answer to is I don't have anything that demonstrates that God exists or gods exist. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
just so why can't I take? So why would it be irrational of me to take the position I do not know if God or gods exist, but currently I have no belief in any?
Because you're conscious, you believe, like you're here, right? You did not create yourself, obviously,
I don't see what any of that has to do with gods are demonstrated to exist.
because how else did you come into existence?
You're still trying to say that science, you have to put faith in science. That's your whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, if I'm taking the position that I do not know if the universe is eternal or if there's something outside of the universe, which I don't know how that's possible, but even if there is, and it created the Big Bang or whatever the case is, and this is how we got here, if I don't know that and I don't have the evidence to show me that there is a God that created this, then it is not irrational of me to not believe it.
Yeah, it's a faith claim. End of the day, just like the religion is a faith claim, science is a faith claim.
No, it would be a faith claim if I said God does not exist. I say I don't know, but I am not convinced that there. But currently, I don't hold any God beliefs because I don't know. It would be. I would take it to be a lying position if I said I don't know if God exists, but God doesn't exist.
I know.
It's just honestly my position of I don't know. I don't see the evidence to sway me one way or the other, but currently I just don't believe in any.
No, I know God exists. You can't.
I believe in God, but I still see why others don't. I totally get that because I can't full on say, "Hey, here, man, there's Jesus Christ right over there in the other room." I can't prove to them that my God exists or any other God exists, but I still believe in it.
So, Al, you're a Christian. Clay, you're a Muslim, correct?
Alhamdulillah.
And Rhymes, are you Christian or?
I am.
All right, cool. So, do you guys? I know that you guys all stem from Abrahamic deities. Do you guys take the position that you believe in the same God or the version or a different version of the same God, or do you hold them as different entities altogether?
So I believe that there's only one creator. Everybody that's trying to reach the higher entity is trying to reach that one creator. The difference in Christians and Muslims is we have a different interpretation on what that creator is. Not that this is like two creators. I worship this one, they worship that one. We just have different opinions on what the creator entails. His attributes, things like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, I believe that we're all looking for the same God. We just don't know. We think our God's the same God, or we think our God is the right God. I think we're all just like trying to go for the same God in different ways. Sorry, I'm not too educated on this. Like I said, I was just telling you my standpoint and how I believe in God.
Sounds like you nailed it to me.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It doesn't. I don't require you to have any kind of like formal education in this. As long as you're interested in having these kind of conversations, you're welcome to be a part of them.
Yeah, like technically speaking, the Muslims believe in the God that revealed the Torah and the gospel, but we just like Christians believe Jesus is that God. We differ. We believe Jesus is a prophet, not that God, but still we try to worship the one God of Israel. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you both believe in the same God, just different versions of that God.
Not different versions. We believe
different interpretations, different views of the same God. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so what convinced? I know Al told us that it was a near-death experience and personal experience that convinced her that the Christian God was real. What about?
It's not just a near-death experience. Like I started praying to God for a better life. Like I was in a drug addiction and no one cared about me and stuff. And I started praying, and then suddenly life started getting better. I started finding money all over the place, and I started getting better things in my life. That's another thing that really turned me to God.
Okay, and what about the rest of you? What convinced you that your God is in fact true?
There is only one, brother. There is only one.
What convinced you he was true, though?
Yeah, what convinced you that your God is in fact real?
Because I read the Quran, and the Quran is a magnificent book. The Quran explains that the sun moves in its orbit. The Quran explains that the universe is expanding. The Quran explains
facts.
that the female bee, that the female bee is making the honey, and that it has two stomachs. This is all written in the Quran. Also in the Quran it says that the house of a spider is the worst house there is. I just saw a documentary where the female spider eats the male spider after insemination. And when the eggs come out, the little spiders eat the mother. That's the worst house there is. And I can go on and on.
Okay, so it nailed some facts about biology. That means that the God is real?
It explains everything about the morality of life and why God Almighty created us. He created us, he tells us that he created us to only submit to him, not to your lusts and desires, not to any people, not to a king, not to a government, to submit only your will to the power of the one and only that actually can harm you and benefit you.
So
God
he wrote.
Almighty. We say in Islam, La ilaha illallah. We denounce all other gods and we accept the one and only, the creator of the heavens and the earth, as
So he
one.
Well,
wrote an
me
amazing book.
personally,
That's your
me
proof.
personally, so my opinion on what God is if God exists and He created us, then it would have to be for a purpose. That's just how I felt about God, right? So I looked at all the
Absolutely.
religions. The only religion that I felt was like guidance, as in it taught you how to act, how to how to act in a way that the Creator wants you to act. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a machine, it's like the owner's manual. So it gives you the answers for all the things in life that you need in order to live a prosperous life. You know what I'm saying? In every aspect. So I thought that so then I came to the conclusion, like, it's impossible for a human to be able to have all these answers for all of, like, man's problems. So it'd have to be from the Creator, you know what I'm saying? Amongst other things. That was, like, the main thing. Like, the guidance.
Did you grow up in that religion?
Yeah. Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Me too. Well, not your religion, but I grew up as Protestant Christian.
No, but
I totally get that.
But
I think that if you have good role models in your life, you can still learn those morals over time and stuff. But I really can't disagree with you there because I'm on the same plane as that, you know.
Yeah,
and Rhymes, what about you?
Okay, so for me, my mom put me in a church with like 200 people, and there was like a nice group think environment where your brain shuts off and you're just like part of the culture and the group and you're not thinking. And then she had the bright idea of moving me to like a 4-person church, 5-person, including like 3 members of my family. So it was super small. And all of a sudden I'm thinking super critically about religion. So when some lady's like, oh, I got the Holy Ghost, and she's like having a conniption fit or she's fainting, I'm like feeling nothing. I'm like, I'm like, either this lady is trying to deceive me or she's actually interacting with something divine.
She got a gin.
I need to figure out which one. So I just started deep diving everything, like quantum mechanics, the Shroud of Turin, the Quran, and how he mentioned like the space-time was expanding, like the universe was expanding and it used to be a conjoined entity. That is literally a verse in the Quran, like the Big Bang. It was like, do you not know that the heavens were once a joined entity? So I was like, how did these Muslim people from 2,000 years ago know about space-time that's expanding when Einstein figured that crap out like 200 years ago? I was like, that's insane. And then I would see parallels about like the Nephilim and their like children being giants. And I would see statues of like humanoids holding lions like their house cats. And I was just finding more and more and more parallels to the Bible specifically. And I was like, oh, okay, so I guess the Bible isn't a book of fairy tales. And once you do any type of research for more than 10 days, you're going to find more and more and more of this evidence that they claim never exists. But it's, quite frankly, all over the internet.
Correct. Yep. Humans were giants. So, yeah, that's what Nephilim are. But, yeah, correct. You're correct.
Well, I definitely agree that there's lots of myths and stories from across lots of cultures about things like giants and, mythical creatures, but it's not like we actually have physical evidence that actually backs these claims. So I'm a little confused what you mean by
They have footprints.
The evidence for them.
They have footprints of the Nephilim.
That's
but
it.
People just like to say, oh, there's no evidence, without doing any research.
Nephilim, and then there's nothing except what looks like a footprint.
I mean, that's just one example, my friend. Obviously, there's more. I'm not just going to base my religion off of a footprint, but there's information on DNA as well. There's no coded information on this earth that exists without the presence of a mind. So if you find a book, there's a mind. All right. If you find a one poster paper of an ad, like the simplest ad in the world, that means that it came from a mind. DNA is billions of times more complicated than a book, and it exists. And we're just this came from nature.
Doesn't mean that it's
that never happens.
Search the Smithsonian mummies in Arizona. They had the bodies. The Smithsonian. Search it. Google it. There's news articles.
You say that the Smithsonian has evidence of Nephilim?
Yeah. No, giants. Like they had actual bodies, pictures, everything. Like it was a
No,
news
but
article.
Nephilims, giants because they're Nephilims.
No, it's
That's what we're
giants.
looking for. Is
I
that
don't. Yeah,
do, does
giant.
does the Smithsonian claim to have evidence of Nephilim?
No, that's not the claim I made. I said giants.
Yes, but that's what we were talking about, wasn't it? Was it not? The giants are the Nephilim compared that he's referring to in the Bible.
I mean, I don't believe in Nephilim, but like I do believe in giants. Like the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
I
not-
believe in giants too, but not as Nephilim.
Yeah, I mean, if you find a 14-foot tall human that doesn't have gigantism and is extremely athletic, I mean, that's not proof
But-
of anything in the natural world.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like the claims of the Bible, which is what we were talking about, and the parallels to the Bible for the giants because they're Nephilim. I fail to see the evidence for that.
Okay, that's fine if you fail to see the evidence, but the evidence is out there, and it's a fraction of what convinced me.
What is the best evidence for Nephilim?
Let's use some scripture here. I will give you an example. This is what it says in the Quran, chapter 4, verse 119. I will certainly mislead them. The devil is speaking here. I will certainly mislead them and delude them with empty hopes. Also, I will order them and they will slit the ears of cattle, to beautify them, to beautify horses and stuff, and alter Allah's creation. When did the people start to alter the creation of Allah? Like in seeds, like Monsanto, like with genes. It's the last 100 years, right? So how could a man living in the desert, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, know this already 1400 years ago?
I mean,
'Cause they were already
in a
altering
lab,
animals.
yeah, that's been pretty recent, but we've also been doing this for centuries. We've been,
No, brother,
we've
you
been
haven't been doing this for
we've been
centuries.
managing
It's
the
the
like
last
evolution
decade,
of
it's the last
animals
100 years that
and
the people
things of the
started to do that.
sorts with people, like old royal families when they used to do incest and stuff like that. That is a type of that. It's the
Yep,
type
that's
of trying to
modification of the
control that
genome.
stuff. So just because it's only been recently that you've seen it in a lab does not mean that practice hasn't been going on for centuries.
Well,
Yeah.
show your evidence then. You want evidence, right?
No,
Show me your
I'm
evidence.
saying that just because the Quran describes things that were
No,
happening
no.
and is
You're not
observable
understanding.
does
You
not mean
wanted
that it's
evidence about
evidence
all
that
the
the
other things.
Quran
Now
is
I'm
true.
I'm turning the table to you. Show me the evidence where they used labs like 200 or 300 years ago, not even 1,000 years ago. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, when did I say that? I didn't. So I don't know why I would have to provide the evidence for something that I
You
didn't
said
say
you
or
said
claim.
that they did this before. And I'm
You
telling
said
you
that they
the last 100
manipulated
years,
the
from what we
genome
know as
with
evidence,
breeding,
it's the last 100
not
years
labs.
that they
Yes,
actually started to change genes and add things and take the seeds of plants and then
Yes,
add and modify them.
resist. I
That's
said
something
it's
for the
only
last
been
100 years.
recently that they have done that in a lab, but before that, humanity has found ways to do that naturally and through literally planting seeds together. And as I brought up, incest and royal family breeding and stuff like that. All of these are examples of humanity doing this before we started doing it in labs. So just because the Quran talks about things that are actively happening in the world and things that are observable and that other cultures have observed as well, does not make the Quran true.
Yeah, me honestly, I don't like using scientific miracles or scientific points because end of the day it's interpretation. But like my proof for it is the fact that if it's not from the creative universe, you'd have to admit that the Prophet Muhammad was one of the most genius leaders in history to be able to create a book that has in it laws that govern society, basically create a new form of government, and that form of government was able to take over the world for 900 years after his death, which nobody ever did that before. Nobody in history has ever done that. Just come up with their own ideology or way of government, and it includes everything from inheritance to how to deal with conquered people or whatever.
I don't see why that means it has to be followed or respected or idolized
No,
in
no,
any
I'm
way.
not. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's either or. It's either he's the most genius leader ever in history, or it's from the creative universe. And if he's the most genius leader in history, why did he not claim that this was from him? Why didn't he just take credit for himself? Why
Because
did he always...
maybe he truly believed that he got it from something else. Who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's either or. You gotta it's one of the other.
The problem is I think the either or, there's still so many factors that need to be taken into consideration with those two options that even if like if the Quran is true, then I think that we should be able to have enough evidence to demonstrate that as a factual part of reality, and yet we don't.
Well,
But if it isn't,
what do you consider true?
but if it isn't, and this guy, was able to create this, ideology that lots of people took after, and it, managed to survive. Okay, cool. That doesn't mean anything as far as us thinking that it's good, thinking we should follow it, thinking that it should be adapted, or that it should continue to survive. So I either way, I don't really see
Wait,
anything from this point moving forward as to how do we know that the Quran is true.
wait. How about this? How about this? Would you, if there was a creator, hypothetically speaking, if he were to give a religion or a way of life or whatever, and if humans were to follow it, do you believe that this revelation would make humanity better? Like it would be a net gain for humanity?
I think it depends on what the God is and what the God is like.
This is in your opinion, just as hypothetically speaking.
You're asking me a hypothetical question for my
Yeah.
opinionated answer, so I
Yeah,
gave you my
yeah.
opinion.
Oh, okay. So the point I was trying to make is like not just the fact that he gave it's detailed book, detailed religion. It's the generation that it birthed, which was the Islamic Golden Age, which gave us the basis for all of the math science, majority of this math science that we use now. Even the scientific method was created in Baghdad by a Muslim scholar, a theologian, Ibn Haytham. He's also the father of optics, algebra, algorithms, alchemy. All these sciences were, birthed from an Islamic society. 200-300 years after the death of the Prophet,
So you're saying it
because they
wasn't
followed
more
the teachings of
positive for
Islam.
humanity?
Yeah, the Christians say the same thing about their
No, they
books
don't.
as well.
There's
yeah,
no Christian Golden
I've
Age.
listened to so many
There's no
Christians
Christian
that say
Golden
that
Age.
it's because of their founding fathers that we
No.
have things like the Big Bang Theory, that
No,
we have
Actually,
things about
doesn't.
science.
The Bible,
No,
the
so
Bible
so
was
here's the
teaching
thing.
the people.
But here's the thing. I do not see how we can show that it is necessary that religion exists in order for us to have discovered these things. If religion never existed, I don't see how we wouldn't have eventually come to these things anyway.
Yeah, but I'm telling you.
Islam is not a religion, by the way. It's a way of life.
So
We live a way of life, and the way of life that Allah
Islam
has
is the
portrayed to us.
belief or worship in Allah as God, and the belief and or worship in God or gods is the definition of religion. Islam
So-
is
Well,
by
you can
definition
call it,
religion.
if you call it a religion, we call it a way of life. It's a
Sure,
way of life.
but
It's from
you
morning,
can
it's
call
from
it
morning-
whatever,
it's from
but
the
words
morning
have
we wake
meanings.
up until we go to bed.
That's great, but words have meanings, and the definition to religion is the belief or worship in God or gods, which that is what Islam is. So it's a religion.
Yeah, you
We
can make a
don't
religion
worship
your way
God.
of life, but it's still a religion.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
make a religion your way of life, but it is in fact still religion, which Islam is.
Here's my argument,
No problem.
because you said
No problem
eventually.
with that.
You said eventually we'd discover these things, but I'm saying because of Islam, because of the advent of Islam, we were able to discover these things, and the people that were able to bring it to light were Islamic theologians. They took they weren't just like normal laymen. They were scholars of. They were like priests, Islamic priests. They also were scientists, and they gave us all these science. Even the Greek works were translated by the Muslims. So because of Islam, we got all this stuff. Not
I don't see how that makes it true.
I don't think it's really because of Islam. I think it's because of the people wanting to know more.
yeah, it's because the teachings of Islam made them do this.
Facts.
I still don't see how, even if that were true, which I don't agree with, I don't see how that would have anything to
I
do
don't
with
think it's
Islam
a-
being true.
I think you're correlating Islam to the fact
only
that we
thing-
discovered all these things.
No, the
It's
people who
correlation.
discover them.
But real quick, you guys, I am going to be getting off here in about 10 minutes. I'm going to
Okay.
let you
Let me-
guys
let me put it
continue the
this way, host.
conversation because I
Okay,
do
this
want
is
you
for you,
guys
this
to
is
be
for you,
able
by
to
the
say
way.
what you want to
Host.
say. So
Okay,
go ahead
Host,
and
this is for
continue.
you, by the way. Host, this is for you, by the way. I'm going to give you an example. There was a debate between a Muslim scholar and an atheist, and he believed only in science and evolution. By the way, al-Bari in Arabic means the evolver, but that's for another day. So they had a discussion for 3 hours. Eventually, the atheist said to the Muslim, he said, Ahmadidat, what if you do all those things? You pray 5 times a day, and you fast like 30 days a year, and you give all this money to charity, and you do all these good deeds. But when you die, you find out there is only nothing, absolutely nothing except darkness, and there is nothing after death. And Ahmed did reply to the atheist and said, it cannot be worse when you find out it was the truth. Have a nice day.
I just wanted to get on here to yap about my personal experience and agree with you on why you didn't deserve the negative judgment and everything. Love talking to other people that have different perspectives and are from different religions. Like I said, I'm still learning myself because I'm 18. I have a long way to go on my journey in my religion myself. Love talking to y'all. I hope y'all have a nice day.
Don't run away.
No, yeah,
All
no,
right, I'll see you guys.
you don't have to go if you don't want to.
Oh,
still be on-
okay.
yeah, we'll still be on for the next like few minutes. I just wanted to let you guys know that if you guys like have any final thoughts, like please continue on for the next 10 minutes or so. I just gotta get going by 10 o'clock my time, but yeah, I agree. That was more of like a Pascal's wager thing that we just heard. I'm kind of sad he left. I wanted to know what debate it was. I like listening to things like that, and I have an hour and a half to drive for a doctor's appointment here in a few minutes. So I'm like, man, be something to listen to. But
Yeah.
You know who you should listen to? Put on audiobook, Imam Ghazali, Incoherence of the Philosophers. So Imam Ghazali is one of, like, the Muslims are the ones that translate the Greek works. So they're the first people to actually discern the works of the Greek, Aristotle, Plato, and them. So he actually refutes all of their points. Aristotle, Plato, all of them. He's calling Imam Ghazali.
I'll look it up. I'm actually listening to the Quran right now on Audible. I'm about halfway through.
Smart man. Smart man.
The English version that I have and the English version on Audible, they're like very slightly different. I've noticed, but like so slightly that it like I understand exactly what they're still saying.
Yeah, it's very it's not an easy thing to just sit and listen to, because it's not like a story where everything's like linear, so you're gonna get lost a little bit. But yeah, some things you'll get, but it's not, it's like it's gonna be difficult, and that's normal, like, because it's not like a linear book.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm sure I'll go through it more than once. So
Yeah. All right, bub. Nice talking to you. Nice meeting you. I will be back another time. You guys stay safe, and I will see you around.
You too.
This is like probably one of the best ones I've been on, to be honest. Like, I get on the Christian ones. It's absolutely hate. I'm just saying, like, this actually allowed room to discuss and talk here, which really sucks because I'm a Christian myself, and there's no, I don't know, people just seem really hateful in my religion. A lot of people, mainly old people.
No, I got you, but and like I was saying, it's never my goal to like deconvert anybody or like tell them that they can't believe in their God and stuff like that. But I do like having these conversations, and as long as if I'm expected to hear people like that one guy go, oh, it's not going to be as bad as when you find out it was all real, and like being very insistent.
I think a lot of people get on here.
I'll have the conversation with the person like that, like understanding that they believe what they're saying is true, but they also have to be willing to grant to me that I hold the position that I'm not convinced that it's true. So when I say I don't know, it's a little weird when they just go, "How could you just not know?"
I think a lot of people get on here and they kind of act a little insecure because they want you to believe in it. They don't necessarily want to discuss about it. They just want to throw out their religion, which I also think it's a bad take to bring up stuff in the Quran because that's what you don't believe in, man. Like, how you going to sit here and quote the thing that I don't believe in for real? I don't know, bad take.
But yeah, Rhymes, Stormy, but you guys have any thoughts for our final minutes?
Hello, how are you?
Hello, we're good.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. Stormy, you have any thoughts on anything you've heard since being here?
I mean, I just joined.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, Rhymes, are you there? All right, maybe he's not. All right, well, I'm actually going to get going then. Stormy, did you have anything that you wanted to say before I left?
I just like I haven't really gotten the chance to really talk much with you on your beliefs.
Yeah.
So you're an ex-Christian. Like, what made you an ex-Christian? If you like very quickly.
Yeah. So, it was just basically, there was a time when I felt like I wanted to strengthen my relationship with God, and I decided to do a very deep dive into the scripture, into listening to pastors, and to actually doing more research into the history of the Bible, and the people that wrote it and stuff like that. And that kind of started the snowball into me realizing there wasn't solid backing for the beliefs that I held, in a lot of factors that related to the main belief of Christianity. And just the more I continued on, the more I realized that I couldn't, in good faith or in good conscience, say that this is in fact true. It was a very long and slow process. It was something that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to stop believing, but I also just don't want to be a liar. So I had to admit that I no longer believed it, and it was just mostly doing the research into why exactly do I believe what I believe.
That's very, very interesting.
Yeah. What about you? Are you a Christian?
I'm a Christian. Sorry about the noise outside.
Oh, you're good. You're good. How long have you been a Christian for?
I've been a Christian, like a real true Christian for like a year and a half, I think.
Okay.
But before, I grew up, non-denominational. I didn't even know that Jesus was God.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And what convinced you that Christianity is true?
I'm still researching. In fact, here recently, I've realized that I've been listening to everyone else's opinions besides making my own opinion. So I just been researching.
That's solid. I encourage that. It's never my goal to try to convert or deconvert anybody one way or another. I just like to encourage people to think for themselves, and yeah, to look things up on their own. So I'm very happy to hear that that's what you're doing.
I mean, here recently, I got a book on the world's religion and really reading through that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's fascinating, all the different religions out there across the different cultures, the different kinds of people. Some of it's really fascinating.
It is.
Well, I'll be on later, and if you'd like to come back then, I'd like to continue our conversation. But I do have to get going. I have to go to a doctor's appointment, so I have to go.
All right. Well, it's nice talking with you.
Yeah, it was nice talking with you too. Hopefully we'll talk again soon. All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate you